Imagine walking down a deserted train track at night, your spray cans rattling in your bag, the cool wind brushing against your face. You're not a criminal, not really. Just someone who finds peace in painting colors on forgotten walls. That's how it started for one graffiti artist, who wanted nothing more than to leave his mark in quiet corners of the world. But what began as a normal tagging session turned into one of the most terrifying nights of his life, a night that would haunt him forever. He called himself a graffiti artist. Some people saw him as a delinquent, but he didn't care. He loved the feel of a spray can in his hand, the hiss of paint hitting cold metal, the satisfaction of seeing his art take shape. The graffiti community wasn't what it used to be, filled with arrogance, competition, and no respect for each other's work. So he preferred to tag in isolation, finding peace in the abandoned places where no one would disturb him. Old train lines were his favorite, rusty, forgotten, and quiet. They were perfect canvases. One night around 10 p.m., he was joined by his only loyal friend, Lucas. Lucas wasn't into graffiti, but he liked the thrill of the adventure, and more than anything, he was good company. They smoked together as they walked along the tracks. The artist wasn't much of a stoner. Weed gave him anxiety most of the time. But tonight he decided to match Lucas's vibe. As they approached a line of old freight cars, he noticed something unusual. The entire train was spotless, not a single tag. For graffiti artists, that's like finding gold. He couldn't believe his luck. Excited, he handed Lucas a spare can and got to work. 15 minutes later, 3 fresh pieces gleamed proudly across the sides of the cars. He was proud. These weren't just random scrawls, they were art. He flung his empty cans into the darkness, the clattering sound echoing through the night. Then, as he was catching up to Lucas, who was rolling another joint, something strange happened. A loud metallic clang echoed from behind them. It wasn't the wind, and it wasn't an animal. It sounded like something, or someone, had picked up one of the empty cans and thrown it. They froze. The air felt heavier. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong. Then came another sound, a low, muffled shuffle from inside one of the cars. For a full minute, they stood in silence, waiting, breathing, sweating. Then the artist pulled out his phone and started recording. In the shaky video, you can hear him whispering, "Bro, what the hell was that?" Suddenly, another clang echoed, followed by an angry voice yelling, "You better not trip, boy." And then, a gunshot. Panic exploded in their chests. They ran as fast as they could, their hearts pounding in their ears, the echo of that gunshot chasing them through the night. They didn't stop until they reached a main road. They were trembling, barely able to speak. Calling the police wasn't an option. They were the ones trespassing and tagging, so they went home in silence, both haunted by what had just happened. Weeks passed, but the memory wouldn't leave him. He couldn't resist going back. This time, he came prepared, with his Glock 17 in daylight on his side. When he reached the site, the train was still there, but his tags were gone. In their place, someone had painted over them with thick red paint. He walked slowly, unease crawling up his spine, and then he saw it, a train car with its door wide open. Inside, the car was empty, except for a single chair placed dead center. Chains and ropes were scattered around, some tied to the chair's legs. The floor reeked of bleach, so strong that it burned his nose. The smell was suffocating, like someone had scrubbed the whole place to erase every trace of something unspeakable. He was about to take a picture when he heard that metallic clang again. That was enough. He ran and didn't look back. To this day, he doesn't know who was there that night or why they fired that gun. But every time he thinks about it, the sound of that gunshot echoes in his mind like a curse. But this wasn't the end. Months later, something eerily similar happened again, this time to someone else. A man who used to train hop for fun found himself reliving the same nightmare. He had been clean for years, away from risky adventures. But one summer afternoon, boredom got the better of him. He drove to a secluded set of tracks he used to visit with his friends. The place was surrounded by trees and led into a long tunnel, followed by a bridge over a river. His plan was simple: hop on a slow, moving train, ride it through the tunnel, and hop off on the other side. He waited for 10 minutes before a freight train came rumbling down the line. When it slowed, he ran beside it, grabbed a ladder, and climbed up. The train started entering the tunnel, a pitch-black, echoing cave of steel. He saw a brief flash of light inside, like a spark or maybe something else. Then, as he tried to steady himself, a hand reached out from the darkness and grabbed his leg. He screamed, kicking frantically until the grip slipped. His heart was pounding, his breath sharp and uneven. Another hand slapped against his leg, trying to pull him down. In a panic, he scrambled higher on the ladder until the train burst out of the tunnel into daylight. He jumped off and landed hard but safe. His body was shaking as he realized the horrifying truth. Someone or something had been waiting inside that tunnel. The worst part, the only way back to his car was through that same tunnel. Standing in the small clearing by the bridge, he felt trapped. Going back meant walking straight toward whatever was in there. The sun was dipping low, shadows stretching long across the ground. He picked up a rock, more as comfort than as a weapon, and started walking. Halfway through, he heard a clicking sound. Not mechanical, human. A tongue clicking, rhythmic, and deliberate. His skin crawled. He shouted, "Stay back or I'll shoot," even though he had no gun. The clicking stopped. Desperate, he opened a gunshot sound on YouTube, blasted it through his phone speaker, and ran. The sound echoed violently in the tunnel. Somehow it worked. No one grabbed him. He sprinted out into daylight again, gasping for air. When he turned back, there was another flash deep in the tunnel, like a camera flash or a reflection. Two figures stood on the tracks, watching him. And then came a sound that no human throat should ever make. A guttural, animalistic screech that followed him as he ran. He never went train hopping again. But the strangest part of all comes from New York City's underground itself. An MTA worker who had been cleaning the High Street subway station in Brooklyn one night shared a story that still makes people shiver. It was a quiet shift, no passengers, just the buzz of fluorescent lights and the hum of the tunnels. Then he heard it, a metallic clang echoing through the tunnel. He froze, thinking maybe a piece of concrete had fallen. 10 minutes later, it happened again, louder this time. He went to the tunnel entrance and looked inside. Nothing but darkness. He went back to work, trying to ignore it, when he heard something that made his blood run cold. A child's voice calling out for help. It echoed faintly, trembling through the tunnel walls. The worker dropped his mop and ran to the edge, shouting back, asking where the kid was. "In front of you," the voice said. "Just keep walking." He hesitated. Something about that answer didn't feel right. He asked again, "What's wrong?" After a pause, the voice repeated, "Just keep walking." As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he saw a small shadow up ahead. A child. Relief started to flood him, until he saw another shadow. This one taller, broader, standing behind the child. He froze in terror. Slowly, he turned and climbed back onto the platform, trying not to make a sound. As he reached the top, the child's voice called out again, louder this time, wet. "Where are you going?" He didn't look back. He ran up the stairs and called the police as soon as he got phone signal. Within minutes, officers were at the station, searching the tunnels. After 20 minutes, they found something horrifying. A small shoe lying in the middle of the tracks. There was no sign of the child or whoever was with him. No CCTV footage, no missing reports that matched. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The police suspected that a criminal had been using a child to lure victims into the tunnels. A trap for anyone kind enough to stop and help. Others believed it was something worse, something not human. The worker never went back to that station again. So what's really going on in these train tunnels and abandoned tracks? Are these just coincidences? Isolated stories of danger and crime? Or is there something darker hidden beneath the railways we pass every day? Old train lines often run through forgotten places. Decommissioned tunnels, storage yards, underground passages. They're places that the public never sees. Places that could easily hide things that were never meant to be found. Maybe it's a secret meeting point for criminals. Maybe it's just unstable people living off the grid. But when you hear multiple stories, different people, different cities, all describing the same chilling sounds, the same flashes, the same hands reaching from the dark, you have to wonder, what else lies down there? If you think these are just urban legends, think again. Reports of strange noises, flickering lights, and ghostly sightings in abandoned rail tunnels have appeared all over the world. From London's underground to Japan's forgotten stations. Some believe the spirits of people who died on the tracks still wander those tunnels. Others think the truth is even scarier. That real, living people are the ones hiding there, waiting for whoever dares to walk too close. So the next time you pass an old railway, or see the dark mouth of a tunnel stretching endlessly ahead, ask yourself this: what would you do if you heard someone calling for help from inside? Would you go in, or would you walk away? If you found this story unsettling, share it with someone who loves horror mysteries. Let me know in the comments. What do you think is really happening in these tunnels? Are they haunted, or are they hiding something human, something worse? Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life horror stories and investigations into the unexplained. Because sometimes the scariest monsters aren't ghosts. They're the ones still breathing, waiting in the dark, just beyond the light of the last train.